Peace. Today's mathematics is knowledge, which is the numbers 1 and 1 or 11. And today I wanted to build not only on the application of mathematics, but I wanted to also show the relationship of the alphabet as well as our lessons. A common phrase that we use in our nation is doing the knowledge. So what that essentially means is looking, listening, observing, and respecting, because knowledge represents consciousness or awareness. So when you think about knowledge, what that is essentially saying is putting twice as much effort in looking, listening, observing, and respecting. And in the same way that 1 and 1 equals 2, putting extra effort in looking, listening, observing, and respecting should yield wisdom or right discernment. In the building trades, it's a common philosophy that you should always measure twice and cut once. So when you think about that in this form or application, when we put twice as much effort in what we're looking at, what we're listening to, what we are observing, and what we are respecting, then that should be able to yield more wisdom or the ability to rightly discern or judge the actions that we take in our life. You think about situations that you might have been in where you might have accepted a contract, or you might have accepted a job, or you might have accepted a relationship, or many different things that we may involve ourselves in. And we may think that, wow, I may have not put as much effort into really looking, listening, observing, and respecting what this was before I made that decision. So that is one way in which this mathematics applies to life, putting extra effort in looking, listening, observing, and respecting, because it should yield wisdom. Now, if you think about the alphabet, the 11th letter in the alphabet is K. K in our language represents king or kingdom. So what does this have to do with what I'm saying? When you think about the role and the responsibility of a king and their proximity to a kingdom or the ability to govern with authority, to do that successfully, not only do they have to put extra effort into looking, listening, observing, and respecting, but they also have to have wisdom. And that's one reason why, in the biblical sense, King Solomon was considered the wisest man. So now we think about wisdom. Wisdom is right discernment or judgment. When you think about something that's right, we're talking about something that is just and true. So all of those various different qualities or characteristics are vitally important when it comes to being a king and governing with authority in the position of ruling a kingdom. Because without wisdom, not only will you not have the capacity to rightly discern what you need to do, but you also will not have the capacity to sustain that kingdom. So that is critically important when it comes to being a king. I know that many times today we utilize phrases like peace king or God or all of these other things, but it's much deeper than just a very topical idea of what it means to be a king. A king must have wisdom, and they also must have the capacity to put extra effort into what they are looking at, listening to, observing, and respecting. So now our 11th lesson, I'm not going to write it all out right here, but one of our 11 lessons, it asks the question, have you not heard that your word shall be bond regardless to whom or what? And the answer is, yes, my word is bond is life, and I give my life if my word shall fail. So that is an example or a description of wisdom in action, because what it indicates is word as being bond demonstrates a sense of commitment, a sense of discipline, and steadfastness when it comes to you being in a position of ruling or governing with authority. You have to be a man of your word, not just of any word, but that word must be rooted in wisdom or right discernment. So sometimes if you look back and take a cursory glance of history and you see various different kings ruling various different societies or so-called subjects, you can see the result of their qualities and characteristics or the things that they did. If you don't see evidence of wisdom, then that kingdom is not going to show some sustainability. If you don't see a sense of right or justness or discernment, you're not going to see this kingdom being equitable, just, and true. So all of these are just examples of how we could expand upon this idea of today's mathematics. And you have to also have the aptitude to be able to make these various different types of connections. So this was inspiring, it was empowering, it was educational, and just gave those of you a simple example of the relationship of not only today's mathematics, but its relationship to our alphabet, as well as one of our lessons. Peace.